Hello and welcome to the Naughty Wives Club. I'm your host, Kim Scott, and today's episode is going to be so good, the perfect blend. This episode hits close to home for me because I too know what it's like to try and blend a family together. I had a child before I got into my marriage, and sometimes it was a little tough to try and figure out if this thing was gonna work. And so I hope you enjoyed our next guest as much as I did. So without further ado, let me introduce you to Joanna. Welcome back to the Naughty Wives Club. This episode is going to be so good because we talk so much about balancing life as a wife and as a mom and marriage and all the other things that come with it. And today we're going to talk about something that a lot of our audience deal with on a daily basis, and that's being a blended family. And if you don't know what that means, that basically just means that you came into the marriage with children already, and now you're trying to blend what you had already had. And so I have the perfect guest to talk about this. And without going into her story, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Joanna so she can let you know all about her perfect blend.
Well, hi, Kim.
Hi.
I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome.
I'm super excited. Thank you so much for inviting
You're so
me.
welcome.
We've been together, my husband and I have been together for 15 years, and we've been married 14 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, together we have 10 children.
Wow.
And he brought in 4 children into our marriage. I brought in 1 daughter, and then together we had 5 more.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Did you guys catch that? 10,
Yeah.
just in case.
Yeah, so 10 kids.
Awesome.
Yep.
And so how do you, I mean, when people hear 10, I know when I heard 10 for the first time, I was like, oh my gosh, how is that even, like, how do you manage that whole thing? And so something that came up to me when I first heard about your story is, how do you connect, or how were you able to connect with each other's kids before you even had children of your own together?
Well, we both had already kids coming in,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, with any relationship, I think a way to connect is to really just spend time with
Right.
them. So we have this thing that we do where we spend quality time with each one of our kids. We
Wow.
take them out on dates, individually, and we spend time with them. And with my husband's kids, we've always believed, like, we don't say like step. We don't ever say that. We try
That's
not
so
to
good.
say that. Like, we always say, you know what, we're one family, we're all together. We don't ever say that's your stepbrother, that's your stepsister. No, we believe in we're just one family.
Right.
So that really has helped me a lot. But
Coming to you, spring 2018, the book idea that started it all. Get lost in the lives of 4 women with 4 completely different stories and the one club that changed everything. Join Catherine, Natalia, Diane, and Gabrielle for the emotional roller coaster ride called marriage. You are sure to laugh until your cheeks hurt, cry unexpectedly, and connect with the struggles and victories of every wife in this book. Make sure to pre-order yours today.
I like to include all of my kids in everything that I do. So cooking is one of my favorites.
Yes.
I love doing YouTube videos and just, experimenting on new things. So I always include them in everything I do. I mean, I have one cutting tomatoes, one boiling them, one just, over here helping me. So it's just, I'm always including them. I think that's how I bond with them, and that's how I stay connected with each
Right.
and every one of them.
So then, because there's so many, and then because of, they kind of were all put into one place, you make sure that none of them feel left out in anything that you do by spending that quality time with each of them, and then also bringing them all together. I absolutely love that idea. So from the outside looking in, it looks like it's the perfect blend, which is why we love this segment.
Right.
But I know that there must have been a time that it wasn't so perfect. Can you recall a moment in your marriage where you really felt like this might not work?
Okay. Yeah, I think, I mean, I'm far from perfect. Like, I think if we look in social media, we're always thinking like everybody else is perfect, and it's not like that at all, you know, because we just show all of, you know,
Yes,
the
all the
special,
great,
yeah,
all the good
exactly.
places.
But I think some of the hardest times where I was just like, God, I don't know if I'm going to make it through, was probably when they were all little.
Yes.
You know, when they were all little. I really didn't, I feel like I lost myself as a woman. I feel like I felt like a nanny. I felt like a housekeeper, you know, because I was, my husband, you know, he's always been so motivated, always, you know, making movies and out here doing all this. So I was at home watching all the kids. So I honestly felt like just like, oh my God, you know, like I felt like a nanny. So those are the times where I was just like, God, I can't do this. Like, this is not what I want, you know. Like, so yeah, but I mean, I just pushed through it, you know, I just pushed through it. And of course it got a lot better, you know.
The older they got, it got a little easier.
It got a little easier, but the teen years, I think with the teens and just, you know, disciplining them, that's also, you know, it's kind of hard.
Yes, I can only imagine. It's funny that you say social media and everything looks like it's perfect, because actually the reason why I wanted you on the show is because I watch your social medias, and sometimes, to be honest, y'all, okay, I look at her social media, and to be honest, sometimes I want to throw my phone out the window, because this woman literally makes it happen. She makes this big family of hers look like it's a breeze, a walk in the park to have. I mean, everything from the kids come home and they have a snack ready for them. And I'm not talking about a little like PB&J. I'm talking about full-blown like potato wedges with like garlic sauce on the side. I'm like, who has time for this? And so looking from the outside looking in, I really admire and say, wow, how in the world is she making this family work? Because sometimes I even struggle with just the two that I have. So if you can like help us out here, you know, help me and our audience, how do you make your family work? No matter how big, no matter how small, how do you make it work? How do you organize? Or just give us some of your tips.
I think a big one would definitely be, this is like a really big one. Like, you have to find time for yourself. Like,
that's so good.
If not, I find myself going crazy and just feeling like a hot mess. So I always have to find time for myself.
To check out.
Yes, whether it's waking up early and having my quiet time with God, or whether it's going to the gym when my kids are at school, just letting, you know, just releasing, just letting some of that stress out, getting mentally prepared so when they come home from school. Because, you know, just when they come home from school, it's like, ooh, you know, it's crazy. So I think what has helped me a lot is just being prepared, having a schedule. I don't always keep it, you know, it's not always perfect, but at least I know I have that schedule, that window, you know. For example, when they come home from school, I have this thing where they rest for an hour, and then from 5 to 6, I'm like, put all phones away. We're doing homework and we're doing chores. So that's what they do for the 2 hours, right? And most of the time, we try to have them all in bed by 9:30, 10 the latest, just so we can know, okay, you know, this is our peace time. This is the time. So I think just really you have to have a schedule with a big family. You have to have, you're not always going to, you know, things are always going to pop up, but just knowing you have that there to look back on and say, you know what? I'm going to try my best to do it.
Yes.
You know?
You know, it's funny because you sent me that schedule before. I remember, I don't know if you remember, but one time we were talking and we ended up talking about keeping a schedule. And so I don't even think like even with just a big family, because I have just a family of 4, and I'm also a part of a blended family. But even with my small family, so to speak, when you sent me that schedule, it seemed like it was just such an aha moment, because it's really mapping out what does your day look like, because there have been so many moments where I was like, oh my gosh, how long has my daughter been watching TV and we haven't even done homework, you know? So having a schedule, even if you don't stick to it every single day, it makes a really big difference. So the last question I have for you, Joanna, is if you can offer us a piece of advice or a piece of advice to a wife that may be entering into a blended family, because let's just be honest, a lot of us come into marriage now with children. You know, in this day and age that we're in, a lot of us are already coming with 1 child or 2 children or even 4. So, you know, depending on if the other person has children or not, what is some advice that you can give us to kind of smooth the process over or make it as easy as possible when it comes to blending this family?
I think that I would just give advice to all the women that are going into, you know, blended families, that hang in there. It's not easy, you know, it's definitely not easy. It's not for the weak, you know, but I believe that I don't know, I always think to myself, like, God put me here for a reason.
Yes,
you know?
you were graced for it.
Yeah, I feel like God put me here for a reason. I know that I can handle this. I'm constantly, talking to myself. I know that I can handle this, God. And I feel like God's called us to restore blended families.
Wow.
I feel like, we have so much divorce that I feel like I don't want that for my family.
Yes.
I want to show people, you know what, a blended family could work.
Can work. So
and
good.
Just cling on to God. I mean, if you have God as the center of your marriage, I think that it's going to work. No matter what, it's not going to fail. You guys will get through whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've gone through some very, very difficult
Mm-hmm.
times. Me and my husband
imagine.
Hard. I mean, one day, everybody's always telling us, write a book, tell your story. I mean, you guys will know one day.
One day you're going to get that book out. And we'll call it The Perfect Blend because it's so, you do such a great job with really making sure from the outside looking in that your family is just very well put together. And just, piggybacking on what you were saying, in my situation, it's always important that you carry a certain grace because even though my first relationship didn't work and I have a child, and that I brought into the marriage, I was very intentional in making sure that her family still had a huge role in her life and not letting any bitter feelings that I had, mess up what we were doing and what we were blending. So then that way we can become an even more blended family by still bringing in those from the outside because people look all the time and say, well, how are you still close to, because that's what it's about. It's about blending something that may not have been perfect and making it perfect for your standards. Like, what does perfect look like for you? We're always learning, we're always growing, but it's so important to be intentional in making sure that you make your blended family work. I'm so excited that you came. I know that there's going to be wives that were, completely wondering, am I going to really make this blended family work? Is this really going to work for me? And hearing your story and even just hearing how you balance 10 children and still be a great wife, I know that they're going to say, if she did that, like, I can definitely do, or I can definitely deal with my one or two. So I thank you so much for being on here. You guys, again, thanks so much to Joanna for being on the show. I hope that you got something out of it and that you can also make your perfect blend. I absolutely love that episode. The perfect blend, I mean, is it really possible? Maybe not perfect, but I truly believe that if you are intentional about making sure your family works the way you need it to work for your family, that no matter what you're bringing inside of your marriage or what you're putting into your marriage or bringing together, it works. Take it from someone who had to blend her family. It's possible, but you have to be intentional. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode as much as I did. See you next time on the Naughty Wives Club.
Wives Club Talk Show, Episode 3, The Perfect Blend, Intro, Take 2. Action.
Hello and welcome to the Naughty Wives Club. Oh my God, why did I forget the name of the club?